Gafáilte Roith, welcome here. Welcome to the Festival of Samhain, the ancient festival of the New Year of the Celts, known to you perhaps as Halloween. We're glad you're here with us. Ihe sauna sonagwich, Elar.
Ihe sauna chonagwich, Mairead. So when we look at Samhain this time of year, we can imagine what our ancestors were seeing and thinking at this time. We look at the leaves that have fallen from the trees and are now blanketing the earth in readiness for winter. And we know that they, like us, have taken in the last harvest and prepared the stores for the year. And as Mairead said, Samhain was the Celtic New Year, when they were facing into their future. And we can imagine the questions that they would have had at this time of year. Are the stores that we've gathered enough to last us through the winter? Will the winter be long? Will the springtime be wet and warm? Will the growing season be long? And next year, will the harvest be plentiful? And they'll also be asking, who among us will not make it through to the next circle of the year? And so this was a time of facing into a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unknown things. A time of lengthening nights and darkening days. A time of facing darkness. But it was also a time of great celebration, because we're celebrating the fact that we got through the last year of life. And, we're here, we're still standing, and we're ready to move on into another circle of life. But, we still have uncertainty and fear. Like our ancestors, we're not unfamiliar to these things. And our ancestors have things they can share with us about how to face fear and uncertainty that are millennia old.
The great hill that's just 12 miles away from Tara was the ritual centre, the ceremonial and spiritual centre of Ireland over 2,000 years ago. And this was a place of the great fire festival, which celebrated the sun god, and it signaled the end of summer and the beginning of winter. So they lit a huge fire that would last for days to bring into the winter the hope of a spring and a warmth to come. Into that fire, older animals who would not survive were driven, and they created this storehouse of warmth for the people and food for the season to be. It was an important place to honor the sun's importance in the Celtic life.
And stones too hold memory and show us just how important this time of year was to our Celtic ancestors. The beautiful Neolithic tombs of Slieve na Caliacht in Loch Crew, the Hag's Hill, is a great example of this. Cairn L is unique amongst the intact tombs or mounds of this period, because on the mornings around Samhain, the sunlight enters the tomb, lighting up the standing stone within that tomb and all of the magnificent artwork surrounding it. I invite you to look at Slieve na Caliacht, the Loughroom tombs, to look for yourself at the amazing artwork. Artwork that is 5,000 years old. Loughroom travels across time to us to show us how important it is to come together at this time of year and celebrate.
Our ancestors stood on the edge of the unknown. They lived with great uncertainty, but they didn't stand alone in their uncertainty. They gathered their community together to welcome in this time of gathering, where there would be a time of feasting to hold them through the hard times. It was also a time where they recognized that people would have passed on from the past year, And it was a time to acknowledge the wisdom that they had left, and the story, and the guidance of past generations. And so this was a time when they honored that there was value in those who had passed on. And so the significance of how we moved from Samhain to Halloween was when the Christians came to Ireland and it became the dominant culture in Europe, recognizing that the local people honored the people who had passed through their life. They changed this festival to November the 1st as All Saints' Day. So it's called All Hallows. But it's based on this ancient way of honoring the tradition and story and guidance and culture of a people who had been among them in very benevolent ways. But we know that facing darkness is not easy, and the ancient people needed courage, and they found their ways of expressing this. They didn't just rush out and take risks. They would walk together to protect themselves and each other. They ventured out in groups disguised to have fun and mayhem. They created masks to ward off what they felt were evils, spirits, and invite the goodness into their lives. They felt behind there was self-control and self-protection in their masking that allowed them to live more courageously because they could manage together what came their way. They didn't hide in these dark times. They had a great belief that the darkness did not overcome them as a community, that together they could move through it into the light.
Lanterns and masks were tangible things that people could make to face uncertainty and to face the darkness. And our ancestors passed on this way of having courage to our children, who were sent out in the darkness to go and be courageous in groups together with the hopes of getting a treat, or maybe the hopes of being able to have fun tricking some neighbours. And so this is a way that has been passed down from generation to generation to garner our courage and face the unknown, face the darkness. It was a way of transforming our vulnerability into strength. How do we as communities today come together to face uncertainty, darkness, and not knowing? Many of us hold on to our traditions passed down to us, and today we're asking, what are we learning about facing uncertainty in new ways today that we can pass on courageous responses to this, so that we can be good ancestors for future generations?
One way that the ancient Celts named their need to take care and protect each other was the Chaim, which is a prayer of protection. And the word itself means protection, or to bend and to create. So it created safety within as it warded off the dangers from without. And there was a way of acting out this prayer in a physical form, where you would stand and point your finger and physically move in the four directions to call in what was protection of your being, your family, your friends, and your community, hoping and wishing and believing that you would be able to move into a space where you felt safer. There was protection around all those you cared for. And if you would like to try it, you can do it by sitting down and creating a circle in your hands and intentionally moving your hands in four directions. Or you could join us by standing and invoking protection in our community, in our families, and with each other. So let's start by breathing deeply. And consider what you need. What does your family need? What are your friends anxious about? And what in our community do we need to be protected from that will bring life to our communities? Circle me, O Spirit. Keep hope within, despair without. Circle me, energy of life. Keep peace within, keep turmoil out. Circle me, Creator. Keep strength within, keep weakness out. Circle Waterloo region. Keep harmony in, keep intolerance out. O powers of might, my protection be. Encircling me, you are around my life, my home, encircling me. O power of might, our protection be, encircling us. You are around our home, our community, encircling us.